Welcome to the Cheating Diaries channel. The night was filled with laughter and joy. Ashley and I were celebrating our 10th wedding anniversary at a luxurious restaurant downtown. The ambiance was perfect, the food was exquisite, and for a moment, it felt like we were in a romantic movie. We toasted our years together, reminiscing about the good times and planning for the future. As we walked home, hand in hand, the city lights twinkling around us, I felt a profound sense of contentment. I couldn't imagine my life without Ashley. She was my rock, my partner, my everything. We reached home, and she excused herself to take a shower, leaving her phone on the kitchen counter. I poured myself a glass of wine and sat down, still savoring the evening's delights. Then, out of habit, I glanced at her phone. A message notification popped up on the screen. My heart skipped a beat as I read the message. It was from someone named David. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow," it said. I felt a knot form in my stomach, but I pushed the feeling aside, telling myself it was probably nothing. However, as the days turned into weeks, my suspicions grew. Ashley often worked late, claiming she had urgent projects to finish. Her excuses seemed plausible at first, but then I started noticing the small things, the way she smiled at her phone, the extra effort she put into her appearance before heading to work, and the sudden secretive nature of her conversations. One evening, while Ashley was in the shower, I decided to check her phone again. This time, I dug deeper, scrolling through her messages with David. My heart pounded as I read their exchanges. They weren't just colleagues, they were lovers. My worst fears were confirmed. I was devastated. How could she do this to me? To us? I felt a wave of anger and betrayal wash over me, but instead of confronting her right away, I decided to seek advice. I needed to understand why this was happening. I called my best friend, Mike, and poured out my heart to him. We met at our favorite bar, and over a couple of beers, I told him everything. Mike listened patiently, his face a mix of concern and anger. "Man, that's tough," he said, shaking his head. "But before you do anything rash, you need to talk to her. Maybe there's something you're missing." I nodded, knowing he was right. I couldn't let my emotions drive my actions. I had to be calm and rational and find out why Ashley had turned to another man. That night, I waited for Ashley to come home. She arrived late as usual, and I could see the tiredness in her eyes. That night, I waited for Ashley to come home. She arrived late, as usual, and I could see the tiredness in her eyes. Taking a deep breath, I approached her as she put down her bag. "Ashley, we need to talk," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She looked at me, a mixture of surprise and apprehension in her eyes. "What's wrong, Jake?" I motioned for her to sit down. "I've noticed things, Ashley. You've been distant, staying late at work, and I've seen the messages from David." Her face went pale, and for a moment I thought she might deny it, but then she sighed and sank into the chair. "Jake, I'm so sorry," she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. "I didn't mean for this to happen." "Then why did it?" I asked, my voice cracking with emotion. "Why did you feel the need to turn to someone else?" She wiped away a tear and looked at me, her expression one of deep regret. "I felt so alone, Jake. You've been so focused on work, and I felt like you were drifting away from me. David was there, and he made me feel noticed." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I had been working long hours, trying to provide for us, but in doing so, I had neglected the most important person in my life. Still, it didn't justify her betrayal. "I can't believe you would do this to us," I said, my voice breaking. "To our marriage." "I'm so sorry," she repeated, her voice trembling. "I never wanted to hurt you. I still love you, Jake." I stood there, torn between anger and heartbreak. "We need to figure this out," I said finally. "I don't know if I can forgive you, but we need to talk about what happens next." We spent the next few hours discussing our relationship, our past, and the future. It was painful, and there were many tears, but it felt like a step toward understanding. The next morning, we decided to try couples therapy. It was clear that we both had things to work on if we wanted to save our marriage. I still felt a burning sense of betrayal, but I also realized that if there was any chance of rebuilding our relationship, I needed to give it my all. As the days passed, we attended therapy sessions and tried to communicate more openly. But despite our efforts, the seed of doubt had been planted deep within me. And alongside the pain, A new, darker emotion began to grow, the desire for revenge. Therapy was a mixed bag. Sometimes it felt like we were making progress, breaking down walls, and addressing the deep-seated issues that had led us to this point. Other times, it felt like we were just going through the motions, trying to patch a sinking ship. Despite our efforts, I couldn't shake the image of Ashley and David together. It haunted me, gnawing at my heart, making it impossible to fully trust her again. Every time I looked at her, I saw the betrayal, and it fueled a growing resentment within me. Then one night, I found myself at a corporate party. I had been trying to keep my mind off things, and after a few drinks in, I was feeling a bit more relaxed. That's when I met Kelly. Kelly was vibrant, full of life, and radiated a kind of energy that was intoxicating. We struck up a conversation, and I found myself drawn to her. She was easy to talk to, and for the first time in a long while, I felt a connection with someone. As the night went on, we moved from casual conversation to playful flirting. There was a spark between us, something undeniable. And in my alcohol-induced haze, I found myself thinking about Ashley and David. The anger and betrayal bubbled to the surface, and an idea began to form in my mind. Kelly laughed at one of my jokes, her eyes twinkling with amusement. "You're fun to be around, Jake," she said, lightly touching my arm. A surge of adrenaline coursed through me. Here was my chance to make Ashley feel the same pain I did, to show her what it felt like to be betrayed. "Do you want to get out of here?" I asked, my voice low and suggestive. Kelly hesitated for a moment, then smiled. "Sure, why not?" We left the party and headed to her apartment. My heart pounded with a mix of excitement and guilt, but the desire for revenge was stronger. When we arrived, Kelly poured us both another drink, and before long, we were kissing passionately. That night I stayed with Kelly. We shared an intimacy that I hadn't felt in years, and for a moment, I forgot about the hurt and betrayal. But as the dawn broke and I lay next to her, the reality of what I'd done began to sink in. I had become what I despised. I had betrayed my wife, not out of love or need, but out of a desire for revenge. The thought made me feel sick, but there was no turning back now. Returning home, I found Ashley in the kitchen making breakfast. She looked up and smiled, but her smile faded when she saw my expression. "Jake, what's wrong?" she asked, concern lacing her voice. I couldn't meet her eyes. "We need to talk," I said, my voice heavy with the weight of my actions. We sat down at the kitchen table, the same place where she had confessed her affair. Now it was my turn. "I slept with someone else," I said bluntly, watching as her face crumpled in shock and pain. "I did it because I wanted you to feel what I felt. I wanted to hurt you like you hurt me." Tears streamed down her face, and she covered her mouth with her hands. "Jake, no." "Yes," I interrupted, my voice cold and distant. I thought it would make me feel better, but it didn't. It just made everything worse. We sat in silence, the weight of our mutual betrayals pressing down on us. It was a moment of reckoning, a brutal reminder of how far we had fallen from the love and trust we once shared. The path ahead was uncertain. We had both made mistakes, and the road to forgiveness and healing seemed impossibly long. But as I looked at Ashley, I knew that if we had any chance of saving our marriage, we would have to face our demons together. Only time would tell if we were strong enough to rebuild what had been broken. The days following my confession were a whirlwind of emotions. Ashley and I were both reeling from the realization of our mutual betrayals. The hurt in her eyes mirrored my own, and we found ourselves at a crossroads, unsure of how to move forward. We continued our therapy sessions, but now there was an added layer of complexity. Dr. Harris, our therapist, listened patiently as we recounted the events of the past few weeks. She didn't judge. Instead, she guided us through our feelings, helping us navigate the stormy waters of our relationship. "You've both made mistakes," Dr. Harris said during one session, her tone calm and reassuring. "But it's important to understand why those mistakes were made. Betrayal often stems from deeper issues. Let's explore those together." Ashley and I looked at each other, the silence heavy with unspoken words. I could see the pain in her eyes, and I knew she could see the same in mine. "I felt neglected," Ashley admitted, her voice trembling. "I felt like you were always working, and I was just an afterthought. David was there when I needed someone." I nodded, understanding her perspective, but still feeling the sting of her words. I know I was distant, I said, but I was trying to provide for us. I thought I was doing the right thing. And when I found out about David, it broke me. I wanted to hurt you back. Doctor? Harris leaned forward, her gaze compassionate. Jake, Ashley, the first step to healing is acknowledging your pain and understanding its root causes. You both need to communicate openly and honestly if you want to rebuild your relationship. We spent the next few sessions delving into our past, uncovering the wounds that had festered over the years. It was painful, but also cathartic. We began to see each other not just as partners who had betrayed one another, but as flawed human beings who had made mistakes. Outside of therapy, things were still tense. There were days when the weight of our actions felt unbearable, and it was hard to see a way forward. But there were also moments of tenderness, small glimmers of the love that had once bound us so tightly. One evening as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, Ashley reached for my hand. It was a simple gesture, but it spoke volumes. "I want to try," she said softly. "I want to find a way back to each other." I squeezed her hand, feeling a flicker of hope. "Me too," I replied. "But we have to be honest with each other. No more secrets." She nodded, her eyes reflecting the golden hues of the setting sun. No more secrets. We knew the road ahead would be long and difficult. Trust had been shattered, and rebuilding it would take time and effort. But for the first time in a while, we both felt a glimmer of hope. As we continued our journey through therapy, we started to see small signs of progress. We began to communicate more openly, sharing our fears, our hopes, and our dreams. It wasn't easy, and there were setbacks along the way, but we were determined to keep moving forward. One day, after a particularly emotional session, Dr. Harris gave us an assignment. "I want you both to write letters to each other," she said. "Write about your feelings, your regrets, and your hopes for the future. Then share them with each other." That evening, we sat down at the kitchen table, the same place where so much pain had been revealed, and began to write. It was a difficult task, but also a healing one. As we poured our hearts onto the paper, we started to understand each other in ways we hadn't before. When we exchanged letters the next day, it was a turning point. Reading Ashley's words, I felt a surge of empathy and understanding. She had been lonely, just as I had been hurt. We had both made mistakes, but we were also both willing to fight for our marriage. As we embraced, I realized that while the road ahead would be challenging, it was one we were willing to travel together. We had been through the darkest times, but now there was a sliver of light on the horizon. And for the first time in a long time, I felt hopeful about our future. In the weeks that followed, Ashley and I took our therapist's advice to heart. We worked hard to rebuild the trust that had been shattered. It wasn't easy, and there were many moments when it felt like we were walking on a tightrope, trying to maintain our balance. We decided to spend more quality time together, doing things we both enjoyed. We started having regular date nights, cooking dinners together, and even picking up old hobbies we had abandoned over the years. These moments helped us reconnect on a personal level, reminding us of why we had fallen in love in the first place. One Saturday morning, we decided to go for a hike. The weather was perfect with clear skies and a gentle breeze. As we walked along the trail, we talked about our past, our dreams, and our fears. It was a raw, honest conversation, the kind we hadn't had in years. "I've missed this," Ashley said, taking my hand as we reached a scenic overlook. "I've missed us." "Me too," I admitted, squeezing her hand. "I'm sorry for everything, Ashley. I know it will take time, but I want to earn back your trust." She smiled, a genuine, heartfelt smile that made my heart ache with hope. "We'll get there, Jake. Together." As the days turned into weeks, we continued to make progress. There were still tough days, moments when the pain of our past mistakes resurfaced, but we faced them together. Each time we reminded ourselves of our commitment to each other and our determination to move forward. Our therapy sessions remained a crucial part of our journey. Dr. Harris guided us through exercises designed to rebuild trust and improve our communication. One such exercise involved writing down our deepest fears and sharing them with each other. "I'm afraid that I'll never be enough for you," Ashley confessed one evening, her voice trembling. "I'm scared that you'll always see me as the woman who betrayed you." I reached across the table and took her hand. "Ashley, I'm afraid that I'll never be able to forgive myself for what I did to you." but I want you to know that I see you as my wife, my partner, and the person I love. We're both more than our mistakes." Her eyes filled with tears and she nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "Thank you, Jake. That means more than you know." Our physical intimacy also slowly began to recover. We started with small gestures, holding hands, hugging, kissing, until we felt comfortable enough to be close again. Each touch, each kiss, was a step toward rebuilding the intimacy that had been lost. One night as we lay in bed, Ashley turned to me, her eyes searching mine. "Do you think we'll ever truly move past this?" she asked softly. I took a deep breath, considering her question. "I think it will always be a part of our story," I replied honestly. "But it doesn't have to define us. We can learn from it, grow from it, and build something even stronger." She smiled and nestled closer to me. I liked the sound of that. As we continued our journey, we also made an effort to surround ourselves with positive influences. We reconnected with friends who supported our efforts to heal and distanced ourselves from those who didn't understand our commitment to each other. One evening, Mike came over for dinner. As we sat around the table, laughing and sharing stories, I realized how much I had missed his friendship. He had been a constant source of support throughout this ordeal, and I was grateful for his presence in our lives. After dinner, as Ashley was cleaning up in the kitchen, Mike pulled me aside. "You guys seem to be doing better," he said, a note of relief in his voice. I nodded. "Yeah, we're getting there. It's been a tough road, but I think we're finally starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel." Mike clapped me on the shoulder. "I'm proud of you, man. It takes a lot of strength to face your problems head on and work through them." "Thanks, Mike," I said, feeling a warmth spread through me. "We couldn't have done it without you." As the weeks turned into months, Ashley and I continued to rebuild our lives together. We made new memories, celebrated small victories, and faced challenges with a renewed sense of determination. Our love had been tested in the harshest of ways, but it had also been strengthened by the trials we had endured. We knew that the journey was far from over, and there would still be difficult days ahead. But we also knew that as long as we faced them together, we could overcome anything. And so, with hope in our hearts and a deepened sense of love and commitment, we continued to move forward, one step at a time. As the months went by, Ashley and I found ourselves settling into a new rhythm. Life was beginning to feel normal again, but it was a new kind of normal, one that required constant effort and vigilance. The trust we were rebuilding was fragile, but with each passing day, it grew stronger. One evening, we sat together on the porch, the sun setting behind the hills. It was a moment of peace and reflection, and I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the progress we had made. "Ashley," I began, turning to face her, "I've been thinking a lot about us, about everything we've been through. I know we can't change the past, but I want to make sure our future is different, better." She looked at me, her eyes soft and filled with understanding. "I feel the same way, Jake. We've come so far, and I don't want to lose what we've built." I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of my next words. "I think it's time we renewed our vows, not just as a symbolic gesture, but as a real commitment to each other and to our future. A fresh start." Ashley's eyes widened with surprise, and then a smile spread across her face. "I love that idea. It would mean so much to me to renew our vows and reaffirm our love and commitment to each other." Over the next few weeks, we planned a small ceremony with close friends and family. We wanted it to be intimate, a celebration of our renewed love and dedication. As the day approached, I felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness, but most of all, I felt hopeful. On the day of the ceremony, we stood together in our backyard, surrounded by those who had supported us through our journey. The setting was simple but beautiful, with flowers and candles creating a warm, inviting atmosphere. Mike stood by my side as my best man, a symbol of the friendship that had helped sustain me through the darkest times. Ashley's sister Emily stood by her side, offering unwavering support and love. As we exchanged our vows, I looked into Ashley's eyes and saw the depth of her love and commitment. "Ashley," I began, my voice steady and clear, "I promise to love you, to cherish you, and to stand by you through every challenge and triumph. I vow to communicate openly, to listen with my heart, and to never take our love for granted. You are my partner, my best friend, and my love for you grows stronger every day." Tears welled in her eyes as she smiled. Jake, I promise to love you, to support you, and to be by your side through every high and low. I vow to be honest, to trust in our love, and to never lose sight of what truly matters. You are my rock, my confidant, and my love for you is unwavering. We exchanged rings, symbols of our renewed commitment, and sealed our vows with a kiss. The applause and cheers of our friends and family filled the air, and at that moment, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace and happiness. The reception that followed was filled with laughter, music, and heartfelt toasts. As we danced together under the stars, I realized how far we had come and how much stronger we were because of it. Later that night, as we sat together on the porch, Ashley leaned her head on my shoulder. Today was perfect, she said softly. I feel like we've truly started a new chapter. I kissed her forehead and wrapped my arm around her. Me too. I know it won't always be easy, but as long as we're together, I believe we can overcome anything. As we sat there, basking in the glow of our renewed commitment, I felt a deep sense of contentment. Our journey had been filled with pain and heartache, but it had also brought us closer together and made our love stronger. In the months that followed, we continued to build on the foundation we had created. We faced challenges with a newfound resilience, knowing that we had the strength and the love to overcome them. Our relationship was not perfect, but it was real and it was ours. We made it a point to communicate openly, to spend quality time together, and to support each other in every way possible. We learned to appreciate the small moments, to find joy in the everyday, and to never take our love for granted. As we moved forward, I knew that the road ahead would have its ups and downs, but I also knew that as long as we faced it together, we would be okay. And so, with hope and love in our hearts, we continued to walk hand in hand, ready to face whatever the future held. Life seemed to be on a steady upward trajectory after our vow renewal. Ashley and I had settled into a comfortable routine, balancing work, therapy, and quality time together. Each day felt like a small victory, a testament to our commitment to each other. One Saturday morning, as we enjoyed breakfast on the porch, Ashley seemed unusually quiet. She picked at her food, her gaze distant. "Is everything okay?" I asked, reaching across the table to touch her hand. She looked up, her eyes filled with uncertainty. "Jake, there's something I need to tell you." My heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" Ashley took a deep breath, her hands trembling slightly. "I've been feeling off lately, so I went to the doctor. They ran some tests and... Jake, I'm pregnant." The world seemed to stand still for a moment. "Pregnant?" The word echoed in my mind. A surge of emotions washed over me. Shock, joy, fear, and everything in between. "Pregnant?" I repeated, my voice barely above a whisper. Ashley nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, I know this is a lot, especially after everything we've been through. But I want you to know that I believe this could be a new beginning for us." A rush of warmth and love filled me as I stood up, moving around the table to embrace her. "Ashley, this is incredible news. Unexpected, but incredible. We're going to be parents." We held each other tightly, the reality of our new future sinking in. The news of the pregnancy added a new layer of complexity to our relationship, but it also brought a sense of hope and excitement. It felt like the universe was giving us a fresh start, a chance to create something beautiful out of the ashes of our past. As the weeks passed, we threw ourselves into preparing for the baby. We transformed the spare room into a nursery, picking out colors, furniture, and decorations. We attended prenatal appointments together, listening to the baby's heartbeat and marveling at the ultrasound images. Our friends and family were overjoyed by the news, offering their support and excitement. Mike, in particular, was thrilled to be an honorary uncle, and he often came over to help with the nursery, or just to hang out and share in our excitement. One evening, as we sat on the couch looking at baby name books, I turned to Ashley. "Do you ever think about the future? About what kind of parents we'll be?" Ashley smiled, resting her head on my shoulder. "All the time. I want to be the kind of parents who are always there for our children, who love them unconditionally and support them no matter what. I want to create a home filled with love and laughter." "Me too," I said, kissing the top of her head. "I want our child to know that no matter what, we'll always be there for them. And I want to make sure they grow up in a home where they see how much their parents love each other." As the pregnancy progressed, we faced the usual challenges and anxieties, but we faced them together. We continued with our therapy sessions, making sure to address any lingering issues and to keep our communication strong. One day, during a particularly emotional session, Dr. Harris asked us to share our hopes and fears about becoming parents. "I hope that we can give our child a happy, stable home," I said, my voice filled with conviction. "I fear that our past might still haunt us, but I believe that we can overcome anything as long as we're together." Ashley nodded, her eyes glistening with tears. "I hope that our child feels loved and supported every day of their life. I fear that I might make mistakes, but I know that we can learn and grow together." Dr. Harris smiled warmly. "It's natural to have hopes and fears, especially when embarking on such a significant journey. The fact that you're both committed to each other and to your future as a family speaks volumes about your strength and resilience." As we left the session, I felt a renewed sense of purpose and determination. We were not just rebuilding our marriage, we were building a future for our children. And that future was filled with hope, love, and endless possibilities. The months flew by, and before we knew it, we were in the delivery room, holding hands and waiting for our baby's arrival. The labor was long and exhausting, but when our baby finally entered the world, all the pain and fear melted away, replaced by an overwhelming sense of joy and love. "It's a girl," the doctor announced, placing our tiny, wriggling daughter into Ashley's arms. Tears streamed down our faces as we looked at our beautiful baby girl, marveling at the miracle of her existence. "Welcome to the world, little one," I whispered, kissing her tiny forehead. As we held our daughter, I knew that our journey had only just begun. There would be challenges and obstacles ahead, but we would face them together as a family. And with each passing day, we would continue to grow stronger, bound by the love and commitment that had brought us through the darkest times and into the light. We named our daughter Grace, a symbol of the grace that had carried us through our trials and given us the strength to start anew. As we watched her sleep, her tiny chest rising and falling with each breath, I felt a profound sense of peace and gratitude. Our story was far from over, but as I looked at Ashley and Grace, I knew that the future was bright. We had been through so much, but we had emerged stronger, more united, and ready to face whatever life had in store for us. And so, with hope in our hearts and love as our guide, we stepped into the next chapter of our lives, embracing the journey ahead with open arms and an unbreakable bond. Life with a newborn was a whirlwind of sleepless nights, diaper changes, and a roller coaster of emotions. Grace brought an immense amount of joy to our lives, but she also tested our patience and resilience in ways we hadn't anticipated. Ashley and I found ourselves navigating uncharted waters, trying to balance our roles as new parents, while still nurturing our relationship. One particularly challenging night, Grace wouldn't stop crying. We had tried everything: feeding, changing, rocking her, but nothing seemed to soothe her. Exhausted and frustrated, Ashley and I took turns trying to calm her down. "I don't know what else to do," Ashley said, her voice tinged with desperation as she handed Grace to me. I took our daughter in my arms, gently rocking her and whispering soothing words. "Shh, it's okay, baby girl. Daddy's here." After what felt like an eternity, Grace finally fell asleep. We both collapsed onto the couch, utterly spent. I knew parenting would be hard, but I didn't realize just how hard, I admitted, rubbing my eyes. Ashley sighed, leaning her head on my shoulder. "We'll get through this. We just need to support each other and remember that we're a team." Despite the challenges, there were countless moments of pure happiness. Watching Grace's first smile, hearing her first coo, and seeing her tiny fingers wrap around ours filled us with a love we had never known before. As the months passed, we started to find our rhythm as parents. We learned to communicate more effectively, dividing responsibilities, and supporting each other through the ups and downs. We also made a conscious effort to maintain our connection as a couple, stealing moments for ourselves whenever we could. One evening, after putting Grace to bed, Ashley and I sat on the porch enjoying the quiet and the cool night air. "I miss our date nights," Ashley said, her voice wistful. "It feels like it's been ages since we had any time just for us." "I miss them too," I replied, taking her hand. "How about we plan a date night at home? We can cook dinner together, watch a movie, and just enjoy each other's company." Her face lit up with a smile. "That sounds perfect. Let's do it. The following Saturday, we put our plan into action. After Grace was asleep, we set the table with candles and cooked a delicious meal together. We laughed, reminisced about old times, and talked about our hopes for the future. It was a simple evening, but it was exactly what we needed to reconnect. As we cuddled on the couch watching a movie, I realized how important it was to make time for each other, even amidst the chaos of parenthood. Our love had been through so much, and it was stronger than ever, but it needed nurturing just like any other part of our lives. Our friends and family continued to be a source of support. Mike often visited, bringing groceries or just offering to watch Grace for a couple of hours so we could have a break. His presence was a reminder of the importance of community and friendship. One weekend, we decided to take a short trip to a cabin in the mountains. It was our first family vacation, and we were both excited and nervous. The change of scenery and the opportunity to unplug and spend quality time together felt like a breath of fresh air. As we hiked through the trails, carrying Grace in a baby carrier, we marveled at the beauty around us and the joy of experiencing it as a family. "This is exactly what we needed," Ashley said, her eyes sparkling with happiness. "A chance to reconnect with nature and with each other." I nodded, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "Absolutely. This is what it's all about, making memories and finding joy in the little things." The trip brought us closer together, reminding us of the importance of taking time for ourselves and our family. It also gave us the opportunity to reflect on how far we had come and how much stronger we were because of the challenges we had faced. Back home, we continued to navigate the complexities of parenthood, but with a renewed sense of purpose and determination. Each day brought new challenges, but also new joys and milestones. One afternoon, as I watched Grace take her first wobbly steps, I felt a surge of pride and love. "Ashley, she's walking!" I called out, my voice filled with excitement. Ashley rushed over, her face lighting up with joy. "Look at her go! Our little girl is growing up so fast." We hugged, both of us marveling at the incredible journey we were on. Parenthood was testing us in ways we had never imagined, but it was also bringing us closer together and teaching us the true meaning of unconditional love. As the months turned into a year, we celebrated Grace's first birthday with a small gathering of friends and family. It was a joyous occasion, filled with laughter, love, and the realization of how much we had accomplished together. That night, as we put Grace to bed and sat together on the porch, I took Ashley's hand in mine. "We've come a long way," I said, my voice filled with gratitude. "And I'm so proud of us. We faced our demons, rebuilt our relationship, and created a beautiful life together." Ashley smiled, her eyes shining with love. "I'm proud of us too, Jake. We've shown that no matter what life throws at us, we can overcome it together." As we sat there holding hands and looking out at the night sky, I knew that our journey was far from over. There would be more challenges, more joys, and more moments of growth. But I also knew that as long as we faced them together, we could handle anything. With hope in our hearts and love as our guide, we embraced the future, ready to take on whatever came our way. And in that moment, I realized that our story was not just one of survival, but one of triumph, resilience, and an unbreakable bond. Life with Grace continued to be a beautiful, albeit demanding adventure. As she grew, so did her curiosity and energy, keeping Ashley and me constantly on our toes. Our days were filled with the chaos of toddlerhood, chasing her around the house, dealing with tantrums, and marveling at her rapidly expanding vocabulary. One sunny afternoon, as we played in the backyard, Grace toddled over to me with a big grin on her face. "Daddy, look!" she exclaimed, holding up a dandelion. I smiled, ruffling her hair. "That's beautiful, sweetheart. What do you want to do with it?" She looked thoughtful for a moment before blowing on the dandelion, sending its seeds dancing through the air. Ashley and I watched, our hearts swelling with love and pride. As joyful as these moments were, Ashley and I were also aware that life wasn't always going to be this idyllic. We still faced the occasional lingering tension from our past, and now we were about to face a new challenge. One evening, as we sat together on the porch, Ashley turned to me with a serious expression. "Jake, there's something I need to talk to you about." I set down my coffee cup, feeling a knot of anxiety form in my stomach. "What's on your mind?" She took a deep breath. "I've been offered a promotion at work. It's a fantastic opportunity, but it would mean longer hours and more responsibility. I'm excited about it, but I'm also worried about how it will affect our family. I reached out and took her hand. Ashley, that's amazing news. I'm so proud of you. We'll figure out a way to make it work. She smiled, but her eyes still held a hint of worry. I just don't want to lose the progress we've made. We've worked so hard to rebuild our relationship, and I don't want anything to jeopardize that. I squeezed her hand reassuringly. We're a team, remember? We'll adjust and find a new balance. And if it ever feels like too much, we'll talk about it and find a solution together. Over the next few weeks, Ashley took on her new role at work. The increased workload and longer hours were challenging, but we made a conscious effort to support each other and keep our communication strong. We established a routine that allowed us to spend quality time together as a family, even if it meant getting creative with our schedules. One Saturday, we decided to take Grace to the zoo. It was a beautiful day, and the excitement in her eyes as she saw the animals was priceless. Look, Mommy, a lion! Grace exclaimed, pointing eagerly. Ashley laughed, lifting her up so she could get a better view. Yes, sweetie, that's a lion. Isn't he big? Grace nodded, her eyes wide with wonder. So big. As we walked through the zoo, I couldn't help but feel grateful for these moments of joy and connection. They reminded me of why we were working so hard, to create a loving, stable environment for our daughter and to strengthen our bond as a family. Despite our best efforts, there were still times when the stress of Ashley's new job and the demands of parenthood took their toll. One evening, after a particularly long day, we found ourselves snapping at each other over something trivial. This isn't working, Ashley said, her voice strained. We're both exhausted, and it's affecting our relationship. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. You're right. We need to find a better way to balance everything. Maybe we can look into hiring some help, like a babysitter or a housekeeper, to take some of the pressure off. Ashley nodded, her expression softening. That's a good idea. We can't do everything on our own, and it's okay to ask for help. We made some changes, bringing in additional support to lighten our load. It made a significant difference, allowing us to focus more on each other and on Grace. We also made a point to carve out time for ourselves, even if it was just a quiet evening together after Grace was asleep. Our relationship continued to evolve, and we faced each new challenge with a renewed sense of commitment and determination. We knew that there would always be obstacles, but we also knew that we could overcome them as long as we stayed united. One evening, as we sat together on the porch, reflecting on our journey, Ashley turned to me with a smile. Jake, do you ever think about how far we've come? I nodded, wrapping my arm around her. All the time. We've been through so much, but we've come out stronger on the other side. I'm so proud of us. She leaned her head on my shoulder, sighing contentedly. Me too. I know there will be more challenges ahead, but I also know that we can handle anything as long as we're together. As we sat there, watching the stars twinkle in the night sky, I felt a deep sense of peace and gratitude. Our journey had been filled with highs and lows, but it had also brought us closer together and taught us the true meaning of love and resilience. With hope in our hearts and a steadfast commitment to each other, we embraced the future, ready to face whatever came our way. And in that moment, I knew that our story was one of triumph, growth, and an unbreakable bond that would carry us through anything. As Grace grew and became more independent, Ashley and I found ourselves with a bit more breathing room. We had settled into a comfortable routine, managing the demands of work, parenthood, and our relationship with a newfound sense of balance. Life was busy, but it was a fulfilling kind of busy. One morning, as I was getting ready for work, my phone buzzed with a message from Mike. Hey man, can we grab lunch today? I've got some news. Curious, I agreed, and we arranged to meet at our favorite diner. When I arrived, Mike was already there, a big grin on his face. What's up, Mike? I asked, sliding into the booth across from him. He leaned forward, his excitement palpable. I've been offered a job in Seattle. It's a huge opportunity, and I'm seriously considering it. I felt a mix of emotions, happiness for my friend's success, but also a pang of sadness at the thought of him moving away. Wow, that's amazing, Mike. I'm really happy for you, but Seattle is pretty far. He nodded, his expression turning serious. I know, it's a big change, but I think it's the right move for me. I wanted to tell you in person because you've been such a huge part of my life, especially these past few years. We spent the rest of lunch talking about his plans, reminiscing about old times, and making tentative plans to visit each other. It was a bittersweet conversation, but I knew this was a great opportunity for Mike, and I was genuinely happy for him. When I got home, I told Ashley about Mike's news. She shared my mixed feelings, understanding the impact his move would have on our lives. "He's been such a good friend to us," she said, her eyes reflecting the same bittersweet sentiment I felt. "But this is a great chance for him. We'll just have to make an effort to stay in touch." A few weeks later, we threw Mike a farewell party, inviting our closest friends and family to celebrate his new adventure. It was a night filled with laughter, heartfelt speeches, and promises to visit. As the evening wound down, Mike pulled me aside. "Jake, I just want you to know how much your friendship has meant to me. You and Ashley have been through so much, and seeing you come out stronger has been inspiring. I'm really going to miss you guys." I hugged him, feeling a lump in my throat. "We're going to miss you too, Mike, but I'm so proud of you and excited for what's ahead. And don't worry, we'll definitely come visit." With Mike's departure, there was a noticeable void in our lives, but it also gave Ashley and me the opportunity to focus even more on our family and our relationship. We continued to navigate the challenges of parenthood, finding joy in the little moments and strength in each other. One evening, as we sat together on the porch, Ashley turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Jake, I've been thinking, maybe it's time for us to consider a new beginning as well." I looked at her intrigued. "What do you mean?" She took a deep breath, her eyes filled with determination. "I've been offered a transfer at work that would take us to San Francisco. It's a great opportunity for both of us, but it's a big move. I wanted to discuss it with you before making any decisions." San Francisco. The idea excited me, but also filled me with a sense of uncertainty. It would be a fresh start, but it would also mean leaving behind the familiar and stepping into the unknown. "We've built a good life here," I said, contemplating the possibilities. "But maybe a change of scenery could be good for us. A new adventure for our family." Ashley smiled, her eyes shining with hope. "Exactly. It's a chance for us to grow and experience new things together, and I think it could be really good for Grace too." We spent the next few weeks weighing the pros and cons, talking to family and friends, and considering the impact on Grace. In the end, we decided to take the leap and embrace the opportunity. The move was a whirlwind of packing, farewells, and excitement. As we drove to our new home, I felt a mixture of emotions: nervousness about the unknown, but also a deep sense of excitement for what lay ahead. When we arrived in San Francisco, we were greeted by the city's vibrant energy and stunning scenery. Our new home was a charming house with a beautiful view of the Golden Gate Bridge. As we unpacked and settled in, we began to explore our new surroundings, finding joy in the discovery of new favorite spots, and making new memories as a family. Grace adapted quickly, her natural curiosity leading her to make friends and explore the local parks. Ashley and I found new rhythms in our work and life, making sure to carve out time for each other amidst the hustle and bustle of our new city. One evening, as we stood together on our porch, watching the sunset over the bay, I wrapped my arm around Ashley. "We did it," I said, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "We took a leap, and it's already paying off." Ashley nodded, leaning into me. "I'm so glad we did. This is exactly what we needed. A new beginning, a fresh start. And I know that as long as we're together, we can handle anything." As we stood there, watching the sky turn shades of pink and orange, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for our journey. It had been filled with challenges and heartache, but it had also brought us closer together and taught us the true meaning of resilience and love. With hope in our hearts and a shared vision for the future, we embraced this new chapter of our lives, ready to face whatever adventures lay ahead. And in that moment, I knew that our story was one of growth, strength, and an unbreakable bond that would carry us through anything. Settling into life in San Francisco was a mix of excitement and adjustment. The city's vibrant culture and breathtaking landscapes were a constant source of inspiration. Grace was thriving, her days filled with new experiences and friendships, while Ashley and I worked on finding our footing in our new professional and personal routines. One Saturday morning, we decided to explore the famous Fisherman's Wharf. The air was filled with the salty tang of the sea, and the bustling atmosphere was invigorating. Grace's eyes lit up as she saw the sea lions lounging on the docks, Look, Mommy! Look, Daddy! They're so funny, she giggled, pointing at the playful animals. Ashley and I exchanged smiles, enjoying the pure delight on our daughter's face. We spent the day wandering through the attractions, sampling clam chowder and sourdough bread bowls, and riding the historic cable cars. As we sat by the water, watching the boats go by, Ashley turned to me. "This feels good, doesn't it? A fresh start in a beautiful place." I nodded, squeezing her hand. "It does. I think we made the right choice coming here. It's given us a chance to grow and explore new possibilities." Our lives began to settle into a comfortable routine. Ashley's new position at work was demanding but fulfilling, and I found my own career flourishing in the dynamic environment of San Francisco. We made a point to explore the city on weekends, finding hidden gems and making new memories as a family. One evening, after Grace was tucked into bed, Ashley and I sat on the porch, enjoying a glass of wine. The city lights twinkled in the distance, casting a warm glow over our conversation. "I've been thinking," Ashley said, her voice soft. "Maybe it's time for us to start considering expanding our family. Grace is getting older, and I think she'd love having a sibling." The idea had crossed my mind too, especially seeing how well Grace was adapting and how much joy she brought into our lives. "I've been thinking about that too. I think it's a great idea. Let's take our time and make sure we're ready, but I'd love to see our family grow." Ashley smiled, her eyes filled with warmth. "I'm glad we're on the same page. Let's talk to Dr. Harris about it and make sure we're both emotionally ready for this step." We scheduled a session with Dr. Harris, who had been an invaluable support throughout our journey. During the session, we discussed our hopes and fears about expanding our family, ensuring we were both prepared for the challenges and joys ahead. "You've both come so far," Dr. Harris said, her tone encouraging. "It's natural to have concerns, but the fact that you're communicating openly and planning together is a strong foundation. I believe you're ready for this next chapter." With Dr. Harris's guidance, we felt more confident in our decision. We continued to focus on our relationship and family, making sure to prioritize each other and our individual needs. A few months later, Ashley came to me with a beaming smile, holding a positive pregnancy test. "Jake, we're going to have another baby." Tears of joy filled my eyes as I embraced her. "This is incredible news, Ashley. I'm so excited to see our family grow." The pregnancy brought its own set of challenges, but it also strengthened our bond. We attended prenatal appointments together, marveling at the ultrasound images and eagerly anticipating the arrival of our new baby. Grace was thrilled at the prospect of becoming a big sister, often talking to Ashley's growing belly and imagining all the fun she'd have with her sibling. As Ashley's due date approached, we prepared Grace for the changes ahead, involving her in the process as much as possible. We converted the spare room into a nursery, filled with soft colors and cozy furniture, and Grace proudly helped decorate it with her own drawings. One evening, as we sat together in the living room, Grace climbed onto my lap, looking serious. "Daddy, what if the baby doesn't like me?" I hugged her tightly, my heart melting at her concern. "Oh, sweetheart, the baby will love you so much. You're going to be the best big sister ever, and Mommy and Daddy will always be here to help." Grace nodded, her eyes brightening. "I can't wait to meet the baby." When the day finally arrived, it was a whirlwind of emotions and activity. Ashley went into labor in the early hours of the morning, and we rushed to the hospital. The delivery was intense but went smoothly, and soon we were holding our beautiful baby boy in our arms. "Welcome to the world, little one," I whispered, tears of joy streaming down my face. Grace peeked over the edge of the hospital bed, her eyes wide with wonder. "He's so tiny!" Ashley smiled, looking exhausted but radiant. "Grace, meet your baby brother, Ethan." Grace carefully touched Ethan's tiny hand, her face lighting up with pure joy. "Hi, Ethan. I'm your big sister." At that moment, our family felt complete. The journey had been long and challenging, but it had led us to this beautiful new chapter. We had faced our past, embraced new beginnings, and come out stronger on the other side. As we settled into life as a family of 4, we continued to face new challenges and joys together. Each day brought its own adventures, but we faced them with love, resilience, and an unbreakable bond. One evening as we sat together on the porch, watching the sunset over the bay, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for our journey. It had been filled with highs and lows, but it had also brought us closer together and taught us the true meaning of family. With hope in our hearts and a steadfast commitment to each other, we embraced the future, ready to face whatever came our way. And in that moment, I knew that our story was one of growth, strength, and an unbreakable bond that would carry us through anything. The transition to life as a family of four was exhilarating and challenging in equal measure. Ethan's arrival brought a new level of joy and chaos to our household. Grace was a doting big sister, always eager to help with her baby brother and Ashley, and I worked hard to ensure that our relationship remained strong amidst the demands of parenthood. One crisp autumn morning as we were preparing breakfast, the phone rang. Ashley answered, and I noticed her face slowly drain of color. She put the phone down and turned to me, her expression grim. "That was my mom," she said quietly. "Dad's had a heart attack. He's in the hospital." A rush of concern flooded through me. "Is he going to be okay?" "They don't know yet," she replied, her voice trembling. "We need to go see him." We quickly made arrangements for Grace and Ethan to stay with a trusted neighbor and drove to the hospital. The journey was filled with a heavy silence, both of us lost in our thoughts and worries. When we arrived, Ashley's mother greeted us with teary eyes. "He's stable for now, but the doctors are monitoring him closely." Ashley's father looked pale and frail in the hospital bed, a stark contrast to the robust man I remembered. We spent hours by his side, offering support and trying to stay strong for Ashley's mother. Days turned into weeks as Ashley's father slowly recovered. The strain took a toll on Ashley, juggling her responsibilities at home, work, and the hospital. I did my best to support her, taking on more at home and being there for her emotionally. One night, after a particularly exhausting day, Ashley broke down in tears. "I don't know how much more of this I can handle, Jake. It's all too much." I held her tightly, wishing I could take away her pain. "We'll get through this together, Ashley. I'm here for you, and we'll find a way to make it work." We leaned on each other more than ever, our love and commitment becoming our anchor in the storm. The support of friends and family was invaluable, and we learned to accept help when it was offered. As her father's condition improved, life began to return to a semblance of normalcy. Ashley's workload at the office, however, continued to be overwhelming, and it became clear that something needed to change. One evening, after putting the kids to bed, we sat down to talk. "Ashley, I've been thinking," I began gently. "Maybe it's time to consider stepping back a bit from work. Your health and well-being are more important, and we need you at your best." She sighed, looking conflicted. "I love my job, but you're right. It's been too much lately. Maybe I could talk to my boss about reducing my hours or working from home more." We discussed the options and decided that Ashley would have a conversation with her boss. To our relief, her boss was understanding and supportive, allowing her to adjust her schedule to better balance work and family life. The changes brought a noticeable improvement in Ashley's stress levels, and our family dynamic began to stabilize. We continued to make time for each other, cherishing the moments of calm and connection amidst the chaos. One sunny afternoon, we took the kids to Golden Gate Park for a picnic. Grace ran around, chasing butterflies, while Ethan gurgled happily in his stroller. Ashley and I sat on a blanket, enjoying the simple pleasure of being together as a family. "This is what it's all about," Ashley said, her eyes sparkling with contentment. "Finding joy in the little moments and being there for each other." I nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "Absolutely. We've faced so much together, and it's made us stronger. I wouldn't trade this for anything." As the months passed, we continued to navigate the challenges and joys of parenthood. Grace started kindergarten, and Ethan took his first steps, each milestone a reminder of how quickly time was passing. One evening, as we sat together on the porch, Ashley turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Jake, I've been thinking, maybe it's time for us to take a family trip, something to recharge and create new memories." I smiled, loving the idea. "That sounds perfect. Where do you want to go?" "We've always talked about going to Hawaii," she said, her eyes lighting up. "Let's make it happen." We began planning our trip, the excitement of a new adventure filling our days. As we prepared, we reflected on our journey and how far we had come. The struggles had made us appreciate the good times even more, and we were determined to make the most of every moment. The trip to Hawaii was everything we had hoped for and more. We spent our days exploring the beautiful beaches, hiking through lush forests, and experiencing the vibrant culture. Grace and Ethan were in awe of the new sights and sounds, their laughter and wonder a constant source of joy. One evening, as we watched the sunset over the ocean, Ashley took my hand. "This has been amazing, Jake. I feel so grateful for our family and for everything we've been through together." I squeezed her hand, feeling the same deep sense of gratitude. "Me too, Ashley. We've built something beautiful, and I'm excited for what the future holds." As we stood there, watching the sun dip below the horizon, I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, we would face them together. Our journey had been filled with highs and lows, but it had also brought us closer and taught us the true meaning of love and resilience. With hope in our hearts and a steadfast commitment to each other, we embraced the future, ready to face whatever adventures came our way. And in that moment, I knew that our story was one of growth, strength, and an unbreakable bond that would carry us through anything. Returning from Hawaii, we felt rejuvenated and ready to dive back into our lives in San Francisco. The trip reminded us of the importance of taking breaks and cherishing moments of joy amidst the daily grind. However, life had a way of throwing curveballs when least expected. One evening, as I was finishing up some work in the home office, I heard a crash from the kitchen, followed by a yelp of pain. Rushing in, I found Ashley clutching her ankle, the remnants of a broken glass scattered around her. "Ashley, are you okay?" I asked, kneeling beside her. She winced, tears welling up in her eyes. "I slipped on some water. I think I twisted my ankle." I helped her to the couch and carefully examined her ankle. It was already starting to swell. "We need to get this checked out. It might be more than just a twist." A visit to the urgent care confirmed our fears. Ashley had fractured her ankle and would need to wear a cast for several weeks. The news was a blow, and the reality of managing our busy lives with Ashley temporarily sidelined began to sink in. "I don't know how we're going to handle everything," Ashley said, her frustration evident. "Work, the kids, the house. It's too much." I took her hand, trying to offer reassurance. "We'll manage, Ashley. We've faced tougher challenges before. Let's take it one day at a time." The following weeks were a whirlwind of adjustments. I took on more responsibilities at home, balancing my work schedule with caring for the kids and helping Ashley. Grace and Ethan were understanding and did their best to help, but the added pressure was undeniable. One particularly chaotic morning, as I was rushing to get Grace to school, Ethan started crying inconsolably. I felt the weight of exhaustion and frustration bearing down on me. "Daddy, are you okay?" Grace asked, her eyes wide with concern. I forced a smile, kneeling to her level. "I'm just a little tired, sweetie, but we're going to get through this, okay?" Grace nodded, her seriousness both heartbreaking and heartwarming. "We can do it together." That evening, after the kids were asleep, Ashley and I had a heart-to-heart conversation. "I hate seeing you so stressed, Jake," she said, her eyes filled with guilt. "I feel so helpless." I shook my head, taking her hand. "This isn't your fault, Ashley. We're a team, remember? We'll get through this together, just like we always do." We decided to reach out for more help, hiring a temporary nanny to assist with the kids and a cleaning service to take care of the house. It was a difficult decision, but it made a significant difference, allowing us to focus on what truly mattered, each other and our family. As Ashley's ankle slowly healed, we found new ways to connect and support each other. We spent more time talking, playing games, and simply being together. It was a reminder that even in difficult times, there were opportunities for growth and deeper connection. One evening, as we sat on the porch, watching the city lights, Ashley turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Jake, I've been thinking a lot during this time. About us, about our future. I don't want to wait for another crisis to remind us of what's important." I nodded, understanding her sentiment. "Me too, Ashley. We need to make more time for each other, to focus on our relationship and our family." She smiled, a determined look in her eyes. "Let's make a promise to each other, to always prioritize our family, to take breaks when we need them, and to never lose sight of what's truly important." I reached out and took her hand. "I promise, Ashley, we'll face everything together, and we'll keep our family at the heart of everything we do." As we sat there, reaffirming our commitment to each other and our family, I felt a renewed sense of hope and determination. The challenges we had faced had only made us stronger, and I knew that no matter what the future holds, we would face it together. With love in our hearts and an unbreakable bond, we embraced the journey ahead, ready to tackle whatever came our way. And in that moment, I knew that our story was one of resilience, strength, and a love that could overcome any obstacle. As Ashley's ankle healed and life began to settle back into a routine, we felt a renewed sense of stability. Our promise to prioritize each other and our family had brought us closer together, and we were determined to maintain that balance. However, life had yet another surprise in store for us. One crisp winter morning, as I was preparing breakfast and Ashley was getting the kids ready for school, her phone buzzed with an email notification. She glanced at it and then looked at me with wide eyes. "Jake, you won't believe this," she said, handing me her phone. "I've been offered a promotion at work." I scanned the email, my heart swelling with pride. "Ashley, this is amazing. Senior Director of Marketing. That's a huge step up." She nodded, a mixture of excitement and uncertainty on her face. "It is, but it also means a lot more responsibility and longer hours. I'm not sure if it's the right time, given everything we've been through." I took her hand, meeting her gaze. "This is an incredible opportunity, Ashley. We'll find a way to make it work. You've worked so hard for this, and you deserve it." We spent the next few days discussing the pros and cons, weighing the impact it would have on our family. Ultimately, we decided that Ashley should accept the promotion, with the understanding that we would continue to prioritize our family and support each other through the transition. The new role brought its own set of challenges. Ashley's workload increased significantly, and there were times when the demands of her job felt overwhelming. But we remained committed to our promise, finding ways to balance our responsibilities and carve out time for each other. One Friday evening, as Ashley worked late at the office, I decided to surprise her. I arranged for a babysitter to watch Grace and Ethan, and I prepared a special dinner for us at home. When Ashley walked through the door, her eyes widened in surprise. "Jake, what's all this?" she asked, a smile spreading across her face. "I thought you could use a break," I said, pulling out a chair for her. "You've been working so hard, and I wanted to remind you how much I appreciate everything you do." We enjoyed a quiet, intimate dinner, talking about our dreams and plans for the future. It was a reminder of the importance of taking time for each other, no matter how busy life became. As the months passed, we found a new rhythm. Grace continued to thrive in school, and Ethan was growing rapidly, his curiosity and energy a constant source of joy. Ashley's career flourished in her new role, and I felt a deep sense of pride in her accomplishments. One evening, as we sat together on the porch, Ashley turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Jake, I've been thinking about something. With my new position, we're in a better financial situation. What if we took that trip to Europe we've always talked about?" The idea was exhilarating. We had often dreamed of exploring Europe together, experiencing its rich history and diverse cultures. "I think that's a fantastic idea, Ashley. Let's start planning it." We began researching destinations and creating an itinerary that included visits to iconic cities like Paris, Rome, and Barcelona. The anticipation of the trip brought a renewed sense of excitement and adventure into our lives. As we prepared for our European adventure, we reflected on how far we had come. The journey had been filled with challenges and unexpected twists, but it had also brought us closer and taught us the true meaning of resilience and love. One evening, as we tucked Grace and Ethan into bed, Grace looked up at us with wide eyes. "Mommy, Daddy, can we see the Eiffel Tower?" Ashley smiled, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Yes, sweetheart. We're going to see the Eiffel Tower and so much more." Grace's face lit up with pure joy. "I can't wait." As we stood together watching our children drift off to sleep, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for our journey. It had been filled with highs and lows, but it had also brought us closer together and taught us the true meaning of family. With hope in our hearts and a shared vision for the future, we embraced the adventures that lay ahead, ready to face whatever came our way. And in that moment, I knew that our story was one of growth, strength, and an unbreakable bond that would carry us through anything. The excitement in our household was palpable as the day of our European trip drew closer. We meticulously planned every detail, from flights and accommodations to the must-see landmarks and hidden gems we wanted to explore. Grace and Ethan were especially thrilled, their imaginations running wild with stories of castles, ancient ruins, and bustling markets. The morning of our departure, the house buzzed with a mix of last-minute packing and eager anticipation. Grace clutched her stuffed animal tightly, her eyes wide with excitement. "Daddy, do you think we'll see a real princess?" I smiled, ruffling her hair. "Maybe, sweetheart. Europe is full of surprises." The flight to Paris was long but filled with the promise of adventure. As the plane touched down, the city's iconic skyline came into view, and I felt a rush of exhilaration. This was the start of a journey we had dreamed about for years. Our first stop was, of course, the Eiffel Tower. As we stood beneath the towering structure, Grace and Ethan's eyes sparkled with wonder. We took the elevator to the top, the panoramic view of Paris spreading out before us like a dream. "It's so beautiful," Ashley whispered, her hand in mine. "It really is," I agreed, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for this moment. Over the next few days, we immersed ourselves in the magic of Paris. We strolled along the Seine, visited the Louvre, and indulged in delicious pastries at charming cafes. Each day brought new experiences and memories, and we savored every moment. From Paris, we traveled to Rome, where history seemed to come alive. Grace and Ethan were fascinated by the Colosseum and the stories of gladiators, while Ashley and I marveled at the ancient architecture and the rich tapestry of the city's past. One afternoon, as we sat at a quaint outdoor cafe, enjoying gelato, Ashley looked at me with a contented smile. "This trip is everything I hoped it would be, Jake. Thank you for making it happen." I squeezed her hand, feeling the same deep sense of fulfillment. "It's been incredible, and there's still so much more to see." Our journey continued to Barcelona, where the vibrant culture and stunning architecture captivated us. We explored the whimsical creations of Gaudi, wandered through bustling markets, and soaked in the sun on beautiful beaches. One evening, as we watched a flamenco performance, Grace leaned over to me, her eyes wide with amazement. "Daddy, can I learn to dance like that?" I chuckled, ruffling her hair. "Maybe one day, sweetheart. We can take some lessons when we get back home." The trip brought us closer together as a family, each new experience reinforcing our bond and creating cherished memories. It was a reminder of the importance of taking time to explore, dream, and simply be together. As we boarded the plane back to San Francisco, I looked at Ashley, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "This trip has been amazing, Ashley. Thank you for dreaming it up." She smiled, her eyes reflecting the same sentiment. "It's been a dream come true, Jake, and I'm so grateful we got to experience it together." Back home, life resumed its familiar rhythm, but the memories of our European adventure stayed with us, a reminder of the magic we had shared. We returned to our routines with a renewed sense of purpose and a commitment to making time for each other and our dreams. One evening, as we sat together on the porch, watching the sunset, Ashley turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Jake, I've been thinking. We should start planning our next adventure. Maybe explore a new part of the world, or try something completely different." I nodded, excited by the prospect. "Absolutely. Let's keep exploring and creating new memories together." With a shared sense of excitement and a love that had grown even stronger, we embraced the future, ready to face whatever adventures lay ahead. Our journey had been filled with highs and lows, but it had also brought us closer and taught us the true meaning of resilience, love, and the unbreakable bond of family. Back in San Francisco, our lives fell into a comfortable rhythm once more, but the spark of adventure from our European trip lingered. We were determined to continue exploring new horizons, both as a family and individually. The trip not only reignited our passion for travel, but also strengthened our resolve to support each other's dreams and aspirations. One evening, after the kids were tucked into bed, Ashley and I settled onto the couch with a glass of wine. The warm glow of the fireplace and the comforting hum of the city outside made it the perfect setting for a heart-to-heart conversation. "Jake," Ashley began, her eyes reflecting a mix of excitement and apprehension, "there's something I've been thinking about a lot lately." I leaned in, intrigued. "What's on your mind?" She took a deep breath. "Remember how we talked about pursuing our dreams and taking risks? Well, I've been considering starting my own marketing consultancy. I love my job, but I want more flexibility and the opportunity to work on projects I'm passionate about. The idea caught me by surprise, but as I processed it, I felt a surge of pride and admiration for her ambition. That's a fantastic idea, Ashley. You're incredibly talented, and I have no doubt you'd be successful. What's holding you back? She hesitated, then admitted, I'm scared, Jake. It's a big leap, and I don't want to let you or the kids down. What if it doesn't work out? I took her hand, meeting her gaze. We've faced so much together, Ashley. You're not alone in this. I believe in you, and whatever happens, we'll figure it out together. We've always supported each other, and this is no different. Her eyes filled with gratitude, and she smiled. Thank you, Jake. That means the world to me. We spent the next few weeks researching and planning. Ashley reached out to her network, and we worked on a business plan together. It was exciting and nerve-wracking, but the more we delved into it, the more confident we felt about the decision. Meanwhile, life continued to be a whirlwind of activities. Grace was excelling in school, and Ethan's curiosity seemed boundless. We made sure to spend quality time with them, nurturing their interests and encouraging their dreams. One weekend, we decided to take a short trip to Lake Tahoe, a favorite getaway spot for our family. The crisp mountain air and serene landscape provided the perfect backdrop for reflection and connection. As we hiked along a picturesque trail, Grace ran ahead, her laughter echoing through the trees. Ethan toddled along, fascinated by every rock and leaf. Ashley and I walked hand in hand, savoring the moment. This place never fails to rejuvenate us, Ashley said, taking a deep breath of the fresh air. I nodded. It's our little haven, a place to recharge and dream big. As we reached a scenic overlook, the stunning view of the lake spread out before us. Grace and Ethan sat on a rock, sharing a snack, their faces lit up with pure joy. It was in these moments that we felt the true essence of our journey, a journey of love, resilience, and unwavering support. Back in the city, Ashley officially launched her consultancy. The initial days were challenging, but her determination and passion saw her through. She landed her first client within a month, and the business began to grow steadily. One evening, as we celebrated her first major milestone, Ashley raised her glass. To new beginnings and endless possibilities. Thank you, Jake, for believing in me. I clinked my glass with hers, feeling a deep sense of pride. To you, Ashley, for your courage and dedication. Here's to many more successes. Our journey was far from over, but with each step, we discovered new strengths within ourselves and each other. The path ahead was uncharted, but we faced it with confidence, knowing that together, we could navigate any challenge. With hope and excitement, we embraced the future, ready to explore new adventures and create lasting memories. Our story was one of growth, strength, and an unbreakable bond that would carry us through anything. And in that moment, I knew that the best was yet to come. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos.